A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans. Brothers and sisters, none of us lives for oneself, and no one dies for oneself. For if we live for the Lord. And if we die for the Lord. So then, whether we live or die, we are the Lord's. For this is why Christ died and came to life, that he might be Lord of both the dead and the living. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So, as many of you know, last week I had some family in town, and Friday night we decided we would go to the Cardinals game. And there are various games and promotions and contests that are going on between the innings. And at one point there was a game where you had different prizes bouncing around the screen. And one fan had the opportunity to yell out, "Stop!" and he would get whatever the prize on the screen was at the time. So they start the game, the prizes are all bouncing around. This guy yells out, "Stop!" and he gets a $25 gift card. It's looking pretty good. But then they offer him the choice. You can keep the gift card, you can walk away, or you can risk it and hope to get a better prize. So he says, "I'll risk it, I'll go for it, let's see what happens." And the prizes start bouncing around again. He yells out, "Stop!" and now he has a $50 gift card. He's doubled his value, he's doubled his winnings. And they offer him the choice one more time. You can stick with the $50, or you can risk it again. So he says, "I came to win big. I want to see how big this can get, so I'm going to risk it again." And the prizes start bouncing around, and I bet you can imagine what happens. He got nothing in the end. Came up with an empty box. And while this is just a game, I think that it points to something fairly common in our lives, at least in my own. And that's this tendency, this idea that we're just one step away from the big prize. That I'm just one step away from that thing that will make me truly happy. And, if we do it often enough, this can become a real vice. To be frequently thinking about, musing about, pondering how my life could be better. How I'm just one thing away from actually being happy. It takes me away from the real world. And I think that ultimately, where this vice is coming from is ingratitude. If I'm ungrateful for the things that I have in my life, then I start to take them for granted. When I take them for granted, I start to form all kinds of unrealistic expectations about them, to imagine that I can control everything else that is going on in my life, and then to grow angry, to start complaining when that's not the case. A couple of examples. I think that it's perfectly reasonable to expect to have enough food to eat every day, but is it so reasonable to expect Brother Joseph Paul to bake delicious, fresh cookies every week and then to share them with me? Can I expect that? Another example, I think, again, it's perfectly reasonable to expect the prior to treat me with respect, to be willing to hear me out. But can I expect him to always do what I want? Can I expect him to always make the decisions I would have him make? The problem with these expectations and the different unrealities they lead us into is that Jesus Christ is not found in unreality. He's not found in our imaginations, but he's found in the very truth of our lives. Jesus comes to us, he dwells with us, not in the way things could be, not in the way we want them to be. He comes to us in the way that things are. So Paul writes to the Romans, "This is why Christ died and came to life, that he might be Lord of both the dead and the living, so that he might be with us wherever we may be, so that whether we live or die, whether we're happy or sad, whether we're at peace or stressed out, whether we have cookies or don't, we might know that we are the Lord's, and to be grateful for that. When I come to recognize Christ's presence in every moment of my life, I can start to take each and every moment as a gift, and to be grateful for that gift. I can be grateful that I have brothers who bake and bake well, and then share what they bake so well with me. I can be grateful that I have a prior who listens to me, who wants to hear what I have to say. So in gratitude, I can stop searching for that next prize. I can stop searching for that thing that will make me happy. I can start living for Christ, grateful that He is with me and that I am His.